Hey, okay, so this is just gonna be like a random thoughts video about knitting. I don't know if any of my subscribers want to hear just a stream of consciousness that's gonna be really unedited. This is for you guys. I also haven't posted in a while, but I'm gonna try to edit my like tools that you need and you don't need. Um, but yeah, so let's just keep going. And so the first thing that I want to say is I'm kind of on like a no buy for yarn, which I feel like a lot of people are this year. Um, and just like my thoughts on that is when I first started my knitting journey, which was about like 4 years ago maybe, I feel like I was just so excited by the concept of cool looking yarns because my skill set wasn't very great, you know. I could do like stockinette, maybe just like make a simple sweater. Nothing fancy, like nothing with cables. I didn't really know how to do color work or anything. So to me, like the thought of self-striping yarn or like Fair Isle yarn or variegated yarn was so cool. Like I don't know, I thought that it looked hand dyed. It looked like I did put a lot more effort into it than I actually did. Like I felt like from an outward lens, maybe non-knitters wouldn't understand that it's actually not that deep. It's actually way easier than doing color work, just to do a basic stockinette stitch. So I feel like I kind of just bought yarn that in my mind now, like I would actually never wear, because to see it on the skein is one thing, but then to see it knit up is completely different. And that's not to say that I hate variegated yarns. I just don't like it for the type of projects that I'm more attracted to. Like for example, this sweater that this cardigan that I'm wearing right now. There's no way that you could make this with variegated yarn and it didn't look like a mess. I think like tonal yarns or one color yarns are very useful for like Fair Isle or color work. It just makes the piece look more stable because it already has a lot of stuff going on to begin with. Also for like cables and any sort of texture that you're adding, like even a knit and purl stitch, I just kind of feel like that looks messy with color work. With variegated yarns. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I feel like a lot more people are starting to feel this way too, and I see a lot of people doing the no buy. Like for example, for this cardigan that I'm wearing right now, it's the Alice Starmore kit. It's like just the virtual yarns. So basically, you have to buy the pattern card kit. So it comes with the pattern, and it comes with all the yarn that you need to make the pattern. But there's always like 15 to 30% more yarn than you need to complete the project, which is nice, like very generous of them to add that. But then I end up with multiple skeins of unused yarn, and since I think this is like maybe 13 or 17 colors, I forget, but since there's so many colors, you're bound to have a lot of leftovers. So one thing I kind of did to combat that was all the mittens that I made that are like these Latvian looking pointy ones are used with the leftover yarn. But I've only made 4 pairs of that, so it's not enough to combat like the 7 projects worth of leftover yarn that I have. So I found, like, I know that this particular project that I'm doing has like it comes in a different colorway. So I went on Ravelry and I actually checked, and somebody actually listed out all the colors of her yarn that they used to make that. So I was thinking of just going and ordering the ones that I'm short on or maybe I don't have. That way I don't have to buy the full pattern card kit, so I kind of save money and space because I'm really running out of space for her yarn. So yeah, I'll just buy the ones that I don't have. I'll have a cool semi-free, semi-cheap project to work on, and I open up a lot of space, so it's kind of like a win-win-win situation. I'm actually really looking forward to that. And also something that I really am also looking forward to is getting buttons. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the buttons and just like the little finishing details are the most exciting part. Like that's the time where your project's almost done, you're getting ready to wear it. Just like picking out buttons to me is more fun than picking out the yarn itself, because picking out the yarn itself is kind of my camera, is more like a commitment. You know, you have to make this now. You just spent all this money. The buttons, the little accessories, the tags that you put on the knitting, that's like the fun part. That's like the finishing touches. You're ready to wear it, you know, add your personalization kind of thing. So yeah, if I go back to Korea soon, which I hope to do that, I would love to get more of these hand embroidered buttons. So yeah, but if not, I still have buttons at home, but I'll probably just add like gold buttons for like the blue version of this. So yeah, right now I'm knitting the Ophelia tank by Star-Crossed Knits, and I tried this before with another yarn. I feel like it wasn't coming out right, so I went and bought the yarn that the pattern suggested here in Iceland, which is the Knitting for Olive pure silk. I don't know if this is coming out any better or not. I just feel like the sizing may be a little bit off for me, but I'm just figuring it out as I go. The sad thing is I don't have a measuring tape with me. So like she provided measurements and stuff. I can't, that's not really useful for me right now because I don't have a way of knowing that. So, but that's my fault. I also just like talked about in my other video the tools that I think you do and don't need. And the more I talked about it, the more I realized I really don't use that much stuff. Like I don't own a lot of the knitting accessories and all that because, I don't know, for me I just use whatever I travel with, and if I am stuck in a situation where I need a particular thing, like I just hope and pray that there's a yarn store around. Typically there may not be one around, so also I have this thing where I talked about my no buy, but there is an exception to this no buy rule. The exception for that being if I'm in an emergency situation and I run out of yarn and I'm like stuck in somewhere along my trips, that is the exception to the rule. I feel like that always applies. My mom and I would call them emergency yarn stores. So basically it's like where you need to go to a yarn store because you ran out of yarn and you need to just start another project to have something working with you. And I've done that a lot. I've made some really cool stuff just like on a whim from these emergency yarn purchases. Even sometimes if I'm, oh my gosh, why does my thing keep moving? Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, this is so like low effort, honestly. Like I don't know who's watching this, but I feel like people are kind of starting to like the low effort vlog, so that's what this is. Keeping it real, guys, keeping it real. But sometimes I even won't buy like a full thing of yarn if I don't have that much room, or I don't want to commit to something that I don't know what I'm going to buy. That's the other thing about me. I'm not going to buy yarn that I don't really know what I'm going to do with because I feel like that's a waste. Sometimes you can find pretty cool like small embroidery kits or like other knitting kits for accessories at yarn stores or craft stores, which I would recommend. They're really fun. They're really cute. It's also like a good way to dive into another hobby because usually they provide you with all the materials. So a kit that I actually really like is the Corinne Lapierre. I think that's how you say her name. It's like a British-based brand, but she's a French lady. It comes with all the material that you need besides like a pair of scissors to create the project. I discovered them when I was traveling in the UK, but I really like her kits. I haven't done them in a while though. I used to be part of her subscription box, but I'm not anymore. But oh my gosh, I made so much stuff by her. I had a whole Christmas tree in my room dedicated to all the projects I did from her her like kits. But sadly my Christmas tree burnt out. I had that thing up in my room for years too. And I just like, one day I was like, this thing needs to go. I need to like declutter my space. So I threw it away. But the only reason I had that up for so long is because I spent so much time on those ornaments. And now to just put them in a box is a little bit soul crushing. I'm not going to lie, that was a little bit painful. But what can you do? Maybe next Christmas I'll get a new one. It wasn't even that expensive. I think it was only like a $10 or $20 Christmas tree. And I used it for like probably 6 or 7 years. But still like kind of bittersweet to see it go. Because I had even like ornaments for my travels from it. And that's how I would justify it too. Like if I found a cool handmade souvenir that I really liked, I'd be like, well, I have a Christmas tree to put it on, so it's not like a waste of space. But now they're just being hid in a box, so that's a little bit sad. What else? What else can we talk about? Yeah, what projects are you guys up to? I was kind of thinking of doing a project plan video, but I honestly don't have that many project plans. Like, they just like kind of come to me naturally. What I do want to do though, I know I talked about how painful it was to make the Russian nesting doll mittens in my first ever video. Um, but I think I might make more mittens. Maybe not exactly like the Russian nesting doll ones, but maybe a different style. Just because I have that leftover yarn from all the Alice Starmore projects. Um, yeah, they're hard to make though. They're really hard to make, but the payoff is great. I mean, I use them all the time, and they're somehow super soft. Um, Sorry, it's a little bit awkward when people are walking by. I may just upload this as it is and low-key not do any editing. I'm not in the mood to do that right now. Also, like, it's just hard to do because I have to like export it to my computer. And while traveling, it's a little bit hard because it takes a long time actually to go from my phone to my computer. Somehow it takes like 2 hours or 3 hours, like from one end to end, and that's not even including the recording time. And I feel like it may be something about my phone or the way I'm doing it, which is wrong. I'm not quite sure, but until I figure that out, expect these kinds of videos. I actually recorded like vlogs of my New York trip and my Iceland trip, and I was intending on doing it for the rest of the trip, but it's a little bit awkward for me to record in public. So if I upload those, expect them to be like really short clips, and it may or may not be entertaining for you. I don't know. Depends on how invested you are in this content, but yeah. Okay, I think I'll probably stop the video here, but thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.